Hello, hello, hello. We're live. Obviously, you guys know I was going to do a Periscope and talk about this because it's just the most absurd thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. All right. So, Dickinson College in Pennsylvania, an op-ed was published called "How Do We Save the World from White Men?" I mean, it's blatantly racist. Obviously, if you change the words white to black, if we were publishing an op-ed and it was called "How Do We Save the World from Black Men?", the entire world would be up in arms, which is why we have to actually talk about the rise of white racism in this country. I have been pretty bullish, knew from the beginning, obviously, that Jussie Smollett was lying. The fact that he did that interview probably puts him somewhere on a spectrum of being an absolute psychopath, a sociopath. But I was thinking about this. When I was a child, I remember learning about Ruby Bridges going to school. And there were all of these images that were illustrated in my textbook of her walking and having white people that were screaming at her and spitting at her and throwing things. And then having, I believe it was the U.S. Marshals that were escorting her through the building so that she could simply attend school with white people, just to integrate schools. This was just about integrating schools. I remember thinking as a little girl, how ridiculous that the people that were yelling and screaming, the adult people that were shouting and spitting at her, how could they not realize at that moment that they were on the side of hate, that they were being painfully hateful? And I thought to myself, how could a society have gotten to this point where so many people can be this hateful, this vitriolic, and yet think that they are on the side of love and passion? Fast forward a few decades, and here we are, and the exact same thing is happening, except it's happening towards straight white men. We are at a point in society where the media is saying that it is okay to be vitriolic, it's okay to be hateful, it's okay to chase people out of restaurants, it's okay to write pieces in the media like "How do we rid the world of white males?" as long as it is targeted towards conservatives, as long as it is targeted towards the idea of the straight white male. Jussie Smollett did something that is, he should obviously go to prison. He has to go to prison. But I feel like we have to make an example out of this. This is just the most extreme situation I've ever seen in my entire life. Not only is what he did painfully racist towards white people, but what he did is actually appropriating Black history. It's an insult to Black history. He pretended to be a Rosa Parks, a Martin Luther King, a Malcolm X, like he was living through this horrific time. And the fact that he used our ancestors' history, he pretended that he was in the process of being lynched. He put a rope around his neck. Think about how deeply insulting that is to real Black history, to make a mockery of it, which is what I talk about all the time. Black conservatives, we're out here telling everybody that the way that Black liberals are acting is an insult to real Black history. It is. You're acting like we are actively living in a racist time, and we're not. We're not, okay? Actually, you can get away with much more as a Black person. You can write op-eds like "How do we rid the world of white males?" if you're a Black person in this society. It is great to be a Black person in American society right now because you can get away with things that you should not be able to get away with, i.e. Don Lemon, who has said the most painfully horrific and racist things on air this year, and yet he's got a top-rated show. Well, there's no such thing as a top-rated show at CNN, but among all of the failing shows at CNN, he has a big one, okay? So how do you reverse it? First and foremost, in the same way that it took white people to stand up during those times in the civil rights era and say something so that we could reverse all of the stuff that was being done to Black people, it's going to take Black people now standing up and saying that what's happening in society is wrong. And we're seeing that with Black conservatives. People are racist to us all the time, obviously. Just look at my timeline if you want to see what's said about me, okay? It's going to take Black people standing up and saying that enough is enough. It's going to take gay people standing up and saying enough is enough because Jussie Smollett also just fed into a stereotype, a bad stereotype about gay men, okay? He's on air, he's crying, he's saying that people yelled racial and homophobic slurs to him. That is unbelievably racist of him to do, and it also spreads very bad stereotypes about the lesbian and the gay community. Everybody needs to find their voice right now and stand up and talk about what's happening in society because racism is not okay. It doesn't matter who the object of your racism is. And right now, with the Gillette razor, with Brett Kavanaugh, with the Jussie Smollett hoax, we are seeing the rise of racism towards white people, which is being blessed by our media. It is being blessed by people in Hollywood. It is being blessed by leftist politicians. It is being blessed by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who keeps pretending she's a victim. Ben Shapiro, what did she say? Catcalled me. No, he didn't. He challenged you for a debate. When you say Ben Shapiro catcalled you, okay, for challenging you to a debate, you are perpetuating the idea of a white male being a predator. So she is a part of this too. All of the leftist politicians are also perpetuating this myth. Kamala Harris, who is not ever going to be the president of the United States, when she jumps up and says, this is outrageous, we're living in MAGA times. Actually, if you want to talk about what MAGA actually is, it is the only movement of love that is happening in this country right now. It is the one thing that is uniting people, not on the basis of their skin color, but on the American philosophy. When you are at a MAGA rally, when you are surrounded by conservatives, when you are in a room full of people that are bleeding red, white, and blue, you don't see color, you don't see race, you don't see religion. MAGA is trying to unite people based off of a philosophy. And the people that are hateful are on the left. Let's stop pretending. Everybody gets mad at me when I tweet stuff early, and I'm like, Jussie Smollett's lying. Oh, Candace, wait for the facts to come out. Okay, the facts are that leftists are nuts, okay? So you can predict that when a leftist steps up and the leftist has been saying, Trump is terrible, this is MAGA country, it's horrible, they're probably lying. Basically, everything the left does now is to smear, is to harm, is to hurt. The Covington Catholic boys, white, straight males. Anyways. That's the end of my rant for today. I'll read some comments. Thank you. Victimhood. Candace Owens for president. Thank you. Love you. I love you. Thank you guys. You guys have been amazing. I just needed to rant about Jussie Smollett because it's actually stressing me out. Thank you. I love you all. I would debate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's never going to debate me because I'm not a straight white male, so she can't pretend that she's being victimized by Candace Owens. So, I love you all. I'm going to go get some breakfast now. And, Jussie Smollett is a liar, and so is Christine Blasey Ford. All right, bye.